Today I'm going to be talking about why centering the masculine automatically would produce fragmentation, and what is the solution to this. For those of you who are not familiar with me, my name is Ashtyn Monea. I am a teacher, seer, and mentor for grounded mystics. The foundation of my work and my business, which is called True Self Embodied, is soulful embodiment and wholeness. This also is about planetary restoration because personal wholeness ultimately leads to collective wholeness, and collective wholeness leads to planetary restoration. So we're going to talk about how centering the masculine produces fragmentation. I'm going to be sharing my screen with you, if I can find the button here, to show you an image that's going to help ground this understanding. But first, before I even show you that image, we need to understand that I use this word in my teachings. I say base code. So the base code for the masculine is separation. And now I do not want us to villainize the masculine, as people oftentimes will villainize separateness, especially within spiritual communities. That's something that honestly really upsets me, because I love the true masculine. I'm here to protect his name, just like I'm here to protect the true feminine's name. And separation is not the root of all evil. That is incorrect, in the sense that separation itself is not evil. Separation offers us individuation, sovereignty, boundaries. It offers creation itself greater expansion through individuation. So please do not project the idea onto this teaching that the masculine, because his base code is, or separation's base code is masculine, that the masculine is evil, because that is just not true. Okay, so we have the masculine having separation within him, something that he energetically brings into the equation. The feminine, a base code is unity, or unity, the base code is feminine. And so if we look at this like centering the masculine, okay, inside of all of creation, if we center the masculine, which a patriarchal matrix does, and his base is separation, would this not automatically lead to fragmentation? Of course it would. Of course it would, and it does. So something that we need in order to bring back collective and personal wholeness is the recentering of the feminine, because the feminine is unity and she is a unifying factor. So when we bring her back into the center, all of a sudden we see the ripple effects beyond her that produce wholeness. And this is something that we deeply need relative to humanity. Okay, so let me see if I can find my share screen here in order to show you an image that is going to help ground this understanding. Let's see if we can get this here. I hope that you all can see that well. So with this image, we see information as a whole lot of like scattered dots. There's no lines, there's nothing connecting it, right? And then we look at it as knowledge. Knowledge starts to actually bring in connections. And so we start seeing these circular dots of information suddenly having some depth of connection to it. And then we see wisdom. Look at the wisdom. The wisdom brings all of it together. There's digestion, there's integration in order to arrive at actual embodied wisdom. So wisdom reflects the feminine essence and her inclusion more than the scattered dots and the knowledge with the lines does. Because we're looking at a bunch of scattered just information and no connection, there's no unifying element. Remember, I said that the feminine is a unifier, right? So then we start to bring in knowledge, which brings, a connection from here to here. But this doesn't necessarily require the feminine as much as wisdom does, because the masculine can move from A to B to C to D. He has linear pathways, okay? The feminine is nonlinear, which means that she can operate as a spiral. And as a spiral, when she is centered inside of it, she is able to take all of those dots, all of that information, and literally bring in her elements of being a unifier to make connections between all of the information, not just this pocket of information and this pocket of information, this pocket of information, no, all of the information is able to be properly anchored, digested, integrated when the feminine element is within. So here is what happens under a patriarchal matrix. A patriarchal matrix will prioritize thinking in the mind, the mental body, above feeling in the feeling body. This is also problematic because that is an outcome of centering the masculine. And so this also creates, as I said, if we center the masculine, he's based in separateness, it creates fragmentation automatically. So what happens is, like, we can have information here, 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 and here, but there's nothing that's actually rounding it out and ultimately digesting it and allowing it to be anchored onto earth. When we look at institutionalized education, which is based in a patriarchal matrix, the mental body and thinking is prioritized. And when that's prioritized, something like standardized testing, where you just have to go and memorize something rather than actually digesting the information in order to embody the information, which would become wisdom, institutionalized education prioritizes information and also knowledge above wisdom. Because when you access wisdom, all of a sudden you have consciousness that allows you freedom and free will in your decision making. You can't be moved around the patriarchal matrix like a chess piece on a chessboard, right? This is different. And they want you to be a chess piece on a chessboard. They don't want you to be embodied. They don't want you to be soul in your body. They don't want you to have conscious awareness, because all of those things would ultimately collapse the patriarchal matrix. So when we prioritize the thinking mind, we are actually not prioritizing and understanding how our body has wisdom and can actually digest the information. So when, for example, we operate through a lens of dissociation, which would be like, your mind is separate from your body's operation. You're not landed in your body, okay? You can be all in the mental body and you're just operating in the mental body, but you're not accessing feeling and feeling sensation and feeling intelligence, which is a part of how we make connections. Like I was saying, this is how we actually come into wisdom. In male to female relationships under a patriarchal matrix that prioritizes something like thinking, it offers men entitlement through ideas of superiority based in his thinking. Here is an issue. The feeling body is wiser. The feeling body can make connections. The feeling body can sense and feel and see things that are beyond what is already written, what is already prescribed, she accesses what is in the unseen. She's accessing far more information through her feeling body than he is through his thinking mind. When men are given this kind of sense of entitlement through their conditioning, that their mental body is the lead, the superior function, this is just fucking false. It is just false. Because the feeling body is far more intelligent than the thinking body, just like the heart has a far greater, grander magnetizational field and heightened intelligence than the brain and the mind does. This is fact. Okay. So think about what I was saying about institutionalized education, where it's like all about memorization, it's prioritizing the mental body. It's also implemented strategically in order to gain access into your mental body, in order to place imprints and conditioning upon you so that you don't have the type of wisdom that breaks invisible chains. As in, I'm saying that institutionalized education oftentimes will actually make you dumber than more intelligent. This is, again, this is fact. Look at it. Look at how much percentage of children are actually operating at genius range and how that declines from kindergarten onward. It's just a fact, okay? So when a man is in a relationship with a woman and that woman has access to her feeling body and access to wisdom, she can see, sense, and feel beyond what his mind and his mental body can. This means that she can actually feel into, for example, truth that right now he doesn't have access to. She can feel into his map, like the map of his soul, who he is meant to be that he currently cannot know, that the mind itself cannot imagine. She can feel beyond what is imagined and also what is already written. Like I'm talking about what is already written in like a textbook or a book of any kind. She can feel, sense, and know beyond all of that. Of course, that's a higher form of intelligence, and that is what leads women into their wisdom, to be wisdom teachers and keepers, which I am, right? So let's look at this from a little bit of a mystical lens, because there are women, for example, who are channels and they're accessing information and they're able to also translate that information. Now they're doing that through a feeling body that can receive information through the unseen. But here is where it becomes problematic. Where it becomes problematic is where she is actually being like, my ability to reach in through my channel and access information and translate it is everything. It makes me superior here. But what she's not doing is integrating the ground level, which includes her physical body. For a channel like me, who has a foundation in integration, I am the all. I'm left, right, up, down, spiral, linear, cosmic, and ground. Masculine, feminine, fully in integration. This is how I live my life. When I receive something through my channel, I also have to digest the information into my body. I'm not just translating information that I'm not living. I'm not just receiving something and then putting it out into the world and being like, I'm not responsible for it. When, for example, as a channel, you access information that isn't readily on earth, but it is information that is based in wisdom and truth. When you do the digestion process of bringing down that information from, for example, from an etheric space into more of a physical space, like you are bringing the information into your own forms of embodied consciousness, okay? You have to pass through the field, which has a lot of resistance energy. Like, for example, anything that's illusionary, counter to truth, it's basically like gonna bash up against it. And you're like, no, I claim truth. I'm still digesting. I'm allowing it to land inside of my body. I'm integrating the information. I'm applying it in my internal world. I'm applying it in my relational world. I'm applying it in my business. Like you're bringing it down to earth. This is very, very different than a woman who is solely using her feeling, sensation, and ability to receive information through her channel, not digest it, and just speak it through her mouth. This is where you can see a channel be quite out of integrity and congruence, because the things that they are speaking about, they're not living them. This is very different. So I'm showing you a scaffolding between masculine and a mental body function to thinking and then feeling, the intelligence of thinking versus the intelligence of feeling. Why we want to recenter the feminine is so that we are also recentering feeling intelligence. We need men, for example, who are being initiated and developing in their emotional maturity. This is a major issue collectively. And so men are needing to actually begin to recenter the feminine within. He needs to install and instill her inside of his experience, which would take him from his mind and thinking and this idea of thinking and brain being superior to our feeling function. And it would actually start to call him home to his body, his heart, and his soul. All of a sudden now, he is receiving information in a way that he was resistant to before and could not receive before. And when a man comes down into his body, actually recentering the feminine within himself, this is when he becomes an anchor. He doesn't become an anchor a moment sooner. You cannot anchor information through your mental body. It's not possible. Your head is up here. Your feet are down there. Your feeling body has a lot to do with the sensation below your head. So again, an issue with centering the masculine is that centering the masculine is to center separation because that is what he is energetically connected to. Whereas centering the feminine, where she is equal to unity, will bring in wholeness. This wholeness isn't reserved for men or women. This wholeness is for all of us to integrate in. If you are here doing wholeness type of work, soul retrieval work, integration work, consciousness work, relational work, systemic work, on and on and on, you must recenter the feminine. It is not possible to create what you are imagining yourself to create without doing this. She is an essential component to collapsing a patriarchal matrix, which centers not just the masculine, it centers the wounded masculine over the true feminine. And so recentering the feminine is the core key code. It is the core key code to restoring humanity, to restoring this entire planetary system. Just facts base. I showed you in imagery how this works. I showed you in base code how this works. I spoke a little bit how it operates relationally. Let me say an additional piece to that because I didn't quite get to that. When men are prioritizing their thinking above her feeling, and this is based in his own patriarchal imprinting, he is actually creating separation in their connection. He is not allowing himself to surrender into the wisdom of her feeling body, which actually leads his own evolution. The feminine is unifier. She's also an amplifier, and she is expansion. So I'm going to give you an additional image here, okay? So let's say that there's this like circle, and at the center of the circle is the feminine, and then there becomes a spiral, okay? The spiral starts to layer, right? Like this layer is higher than it was here, higher than it was here on a spiral. With each of those layers, imagine that there's a line and it starts to create a ladder. Okay, the masculine is linear, he is line, she is circular, she is spiral. So what happens is as the feminine, she's feeling and she's feeling. It's like sonar, okay? You can feel, she can feel all the way out through the omniverse for information. When she is feeling into a man, she can literally feel that way into his expansion, feeling him as his bigger, fuller, wholer self. And what starts happening is it provides him a map where on that spiral and that expansion, all of a sudden he can go, oh, I got that ladder. I can actually go up higher. Oh, this is actually the truth of my nature. Oh, this is my expansion. Oh, I'm embodying wisdom. That is how it operates when you recenter the feminine. So if in a relationship, the man is not willing to center the feminine, he's not willing to actually see her to receive her. He's not willing to honor her and revere her. How is he to receive her medicine that literally is the gifting onto him, the map of his own evolutionary process? He won't receive it. And then what will happen is the disconnection between the two of them and their relationship will grow further and further. Oh, we've grown apart. Have you grown apart in the sense that both of you have grown and you're going in different directions? Or have you grown apart because you did not attune to her? Attunement requires feeling. So again, this is what I'm talking about, where I'm saying the masculine has to start recentering the feminine, which is also to begin to understand feeling and feeling intelligence. This brings him into attunement with himself, with himself, with the woman in his life, with his community, with his creations. So with all of that, I have a 3-hour masterclass. It is currently active. It's called Recentering the Feminine. It is a lot of value. You can step in immediately right now and gain access with that 3-hour masterclass. There's also a library of audio transmissions. That library is growing. I encourage and invite you to step into this masterclass. If you are doing any work to unravel the patriarchal matrix, this is the masterclass for you. And my teachings don't come from a book. My teachings don't come from another teacher. You're literally not going to find these teachings anywhere else. You will find them in this masterclass. So I highly encourage you to step into this space. You can find the link for that masterclass in my bio. I am still in Facebook jail. And so that means that I cannot comment. And so if you're interested, make sure to comment Recentering the Feminine below. You can also DM me and you can find the link in my bio. Also, make sure to share this masterclass information, also this live transmission, because we are here, I hope, if you are part of my world, my work, and my space, to restore this planet, to bring in collective wholeness, to bring in personal wholeness. And this is what this transmission is about. So sharing is caring, share the dream, support my mission. Thank you all so much for those of you who have spent time being here with me. Feel free to let me know how this has landed for you. As always, so much love to each and every one of you.